It's been a whole month of everyone asking when is part 4 coming out, and I'm very glad to announce that it is finally here. For those that are new, Gannibal is about a police officer named Daigo who moved into a new village as their local police officer. However, the citizens are cannibals, with the head family, the Gotos, being the main source of the problems. The Gotos have been revealed to sacrifice a child every year with a festival, but it's up to Daigo and the new leader of the Gotos, Kisuke, to put a stop to it. Last video we reached the 3k like goal, and as promised, we are going to go over volumes 9 through 11 and see us get answers to that incredibly shocking cliffhanger from the last video.
But if you guys want to see more anime content like this one, then why not go down and hit that subscribe button.
And if you guys want the finale to the Gannibal series, then let's hit 2k likes on this video, and I'll prepare something extra special for the finale. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Dad, I can taste blood. Mashiro stares blankly, eyes wide as blood splatters around her. Oronya notices and turns, eyeing Kisuke, who's gripping the barrel of his pistol, blood streaming from a hole in his hand. Oronya recalls Grandma Jin's warning to watch Kisuke closely, though he never imagined actual betrayal. Now with a new heir in line, Oronya vows to protect them, deciding that Kisuke should just die. As he raises the pistol to shoot, Iwayo charges, slamming Oronya to the ground. Oronya fires, but Iwayo dodges and crushes his head in a brutal final blow. Iwayo is grazed by a bullet and another Goto member falls from Daigo's shot. Kisuke shouts as Daigo reloads, preparing to fire again. Desperate, Iwayo grabs Oronya's lifeless body and hurls it at Daigo, sending him reeling. Amid the frenzy, Yuki shields Mashiro, who screams for the violence to stop. At the police station, the defense forces brief on the carnage. They question a survivor, who describes the monstrous old man and a towering figure with a hat. Meanwhile, in the tunnel, Daigo fires at Iwayo, narrowly missing his head. Iwayo seizes Daigo's fingers, crushing them, but Daigo pulls the trigger, hitting Iwayo's face and eye. Iwayo slams Daigo's head to the ground, yet Daigo flips him over, bringing him down. Victorious, Daigo reaches for his gun, only to freeze as Mashiro screams at him, pleading for the violence to end. Kisuke then suddenly appears behind him and fires, taking him down. Kisuke checks on Yusuke, confirming he's okay, though Daigo and Iwayo are still barely alive, his shot having missed vital spots. Kisuke hurriedly releases Yuki and Mashiro, but footsteps echo nearby. He tells them to flee as he handles the bodies. They take off, only for the old man to appear in hot pursuit. Back at the police station, Sumire is under protective custody. She agrees to cooperate but pleads for Kisuke's protection as well. The old man bears down on Yuki and Mashiro, but Kisuke intervenes, blocking his path. The old man strikes, but Mashiro steps in, pleading with him to stop. His expression changes as he lifts Mashiro, trying to escape. Yuki stands her ground, determined to protect her, grabbing a rock and smashing it across his head. He has a flashback of an older man striking a young Jin to protect a child. But as he looks back at Yuki, he murmurs, "Mother?" In another flashback, Jin and the old man as a child are trapped in a cage, with Jin vowing to create a world where he'd be worshipped. Back in the present, Kisuke raises his blade but hesitates, recalling Jin's ominous command to fear and worship the old man till his death. The old man knocks Yuki aside and bolts with Mashiro. Yuki collapses as Goto members in dark hoods arrive to retrieve Daigo's body. One kicks Yuki, but Kisuke orders them to leave her behind as she cries out for Mashiro. Elsewhere, villagers discuss the unfolding disaster, glad that Master Munechika had put an end to Jin. In a flashback, Jin flees from the villagers as they finish her off. At the Goto house, Kisuke honors Jin as the festival begins. He's informed that Iwayo survived and Daigo is in prison. Speaking with Daigo alone, Kisuke explains that his daughter was taken, but they plan to save her, with Daigo's help. Daigo struggles to understand after everything that he has done. After murdering Kisuke's family, why help him? Kisuke doesn't forgive him, but insists that his daughter deserves better. To protect his family, Kisuke must confront his own bloodline. Kisuke reveals the old man's hiding place, and together with Daigo, they take down a few guards and escape. As they move through the forest, Iwayo is seen waking up. Daigo expresses his gratitude, promising to repay Kisuke for always saving him. Kisuke replies that they can thank him after they have saved Mashiro, before the festival begins in 2 hours, with the hiding place being the cave where it all started. Meanwhile, the village chief priest awakes from a dream to find Monechka watching over him. With death approaching, the priest feels compelled to reveal the truth, the story between him, Jin-sama, and their child. The Goto clan had once avoided starvation by sacrificing children, a practice that earned them the villagers' wrath. Over time, the Gotos amassed wealth and land, yet hostility with the villagers only deepened. Sada Goto, Munechka's grandfather, once tried to mend relations, but Jin's brother, Kinji, ruined any chance of peace. In a flashback, Jin confesses to Kisuke, seeking forgiveness for her sins, claiming her child was blameless. Back in the present, Kisuke hesitates with his rifle aimed at the old man, but Daigo doesn't, pulling the trigger and ending it with a shot to the head. As he processes his actions, Daigo questions his own motives. Is he truly protecting Mashiro, or is his actions just consumed by rage? Mashiro rushes forward, shielding the old man's body, screaming at Daigo in horror. Yuki stumbles through the woods alone, found by a police officer, as now government officials have decided to take action against the Gotos. Meanwhile, Iwayo saves the guards that Daigo and Kisuke subdued. They inform him of Kisuke's betrayal, prompting Iwayo and a band of Goto members to storm the chief priestess' house, looking for Kisuke. Munechka says that Kisuke isn't there, but Iwayo doesn't believe him, knowing that he and Kisuke were the people that actually killed Jin Goto. The priest panics as a Goto member raises a gun towards Munechka. In response, the villagers rise up, determined to fight back against the Gotos. As tensions reach their peak, Munechka tells Iwayo that he knew the consequences of his actions when he killed Jin. Enraged, Iwayo grabs Munechka, snapping his neck. The chief priest laments as everything Jin had sacrificed for collapses before his eyes, all because one man moved in. What's the purpose of our life, Jin-sama? A young chief priest is staring at a younger Jin next to Kinjin Goto, Jin's brother. With a sneer, Kinjin grabs Jin by the hair, demanding who Musamune is, before dragging her back home. Masamune's father, Yoshimune, warns him against getting involved with Jin and her violent family. Kinjin has been terrorizing and robbing the villagers, and nobody dares to stand up to him. Despite the danger, Yoshimune and Masamune want to help their suffering village. Yoshimune hopes that with the head of the family, Saragoto, they might find a way to restore peace. Back at the Goto residence, Kurenai, Kenji's sister, mentions that the villagers are spreading more rumors about their family. Enraged, Kenji unleashes his rage on Jin, only to justify himself with a chilling remark. What's so wrong with eating people? Kinjin's violence worsens daily as he waits for his father, Sara, to die, freeing him to rule the village completely. Over time, the villagers beg Yoshimune to confront Kinji, so they decide to go to the Goto home. They talk about Sarada's condition, as it seems that the Gotos haven't been taking good care of him. Yoshimune asks if he has a manic disease, the one rumored that most Goto members suffer through. Before he could finish though, the Gotos aim their weapons at him. Kinji warns him that if he says anything else, he'll kill him. But they can't kill him, because the villagers wouldn't be able to ignore his death. Plus, he's the only bridge between the Gotos and the villagers. Kenji needs him to gain control of Kuje village. Masamune tries to speak out against Kinji's abuse of power, but Yoshimune forces him to bow and apologize. Jin listens in, oddly amused. One evening, Masamune finds a bruised Jin hiding at the shrine. He tries to get his father, but Jin wants to talk to Masamune and leads them to a cave which will now be their secret hideout. Jin opens up, showing Masamune bite marks and sharing how both the villagers and her family treat her cruelly. She's grown attached to Masamune, her only source of kindness, and asks him to stay by her side. When Jin attempts to seduce him, Masamune gently stops her, promising that he'll support her no matter what, and wants to learn more about her troubled family. Jin says to know the family, he needs to let himself go. The following day, Yoshimune questions Masamune about his whereabouts, but Masamune deflects it, asking why Yoshimune has been getting closer to Kinji. Yoshimune responds that Masamune doesn't understand how the villagers actually live. Meanwhile, the villagers are pleased to grow crops for Kinji, who later confronts Yoshimune with a shocking accusation, asking if he has slept with Jin. When Yoshimune denies it, Kinji realizes that he's telling the truth. Although Jin was only a little girl when she arrived at the Goto house, she now uses her beauty to manipulate those around her. Kinji warns him that he better watch out or it'll consume him too. At the secret hideout, Masamune declares to Jin that he dreams of building a world where they can be together. Jin will seize control of the Goto family while Masamune influences the villagers by becoming the new chief priest. Together, they'll reshape the village for their children's future. The next night, Masamune waits for Jin at their hideout but is surprised when Yoshimune arrives instead. Meanwhile, Jin sneaks out of her house and is caught and beaten by Kinji. Yoshimune warns Masamune to stop seeing Jin, even hinting that Jin once tried to seduce him. Masamune though refuses to believe it, accusing his father of jealousy, and he storms out. Jin later escapes from Kinji feeling sick. Kurenai suspects that she's not actually sick, but that she's pregnant. This news shocks the Gotos, who bans Masamune from ever entering their home, and then villagers gossip about how someone as noble as Masamune should never mix blood with a Goto. During the village festival, Masamune sneaks away to try to find Jin. When they finally meet, she tells him that she's pregnant, but doesn't know if it's his child. Masamune, convinced that it is, embraces her and reaffirms his commitment to building a new life with her. As the villagers discuss what to do with the couple, Sabu-san suggests on killing Jin. Meanwhile, Masamune and Jin overhear the festival drums and talk about its dark origins. Jin reveals that the festival isn't just about burning dolls, it involves human sacrifice. Her mother was supposed to be a sacrifice until Sadagoto saved her. Because of this, the villagers harbor resentment toward Jin and blame her for every bad harvest. Masamune reassures her, promising that they'll be happy in this new world that they're going to create. He even names their unborn child Shirogane. Suddenly, Sabu-san finds them and strikes Jin with a shovel. Masamune begs him to stop, revealing that Jin is pregnant. Unfazed, Sabu-san remarks that he would have killed her quickly if he had known. However, in a shocking twist, Jin kills Sabu-san with a rock, smashing his face in repeatedly. In a flashback, she recalls a conversation with Sadagoto, who told her that she isn't biologically related to the Gotos. Her mother was a toy for the village until Sada and Kinji rescued her when she was already pregnant with Jin. Sada insists that she isn't a cursed child but a symbol of hope. Jin, however, rejects this, vowing to devour the village that has wronged her and countless others. Back in the present, Jin tells Masamune that she wants to give birth in the village, but as she runs back, a Goto member intercepts her, striking her with a rifle. The villagers capture her, and Jin admits to killing Sabu-san. Masamune tries to take the blame, but the villagers beat her mercilessly. Yoshimune steps in, suggesting that she be sacrificed to appease the gods. Kinji, furious that the Goto members didn't bring Jin to him, reluctantly allows the villagers to handle the situation. They take Jin to a forest and tie her up to a tree and abandon her. 8 months later, 2 villagers hiking in the woods find a baby gnawing on a finger, only to be attacked by a naked feral Jin. The village is struggling with a poor harvest, while the Gotos control most of the land. Yoshimune pleads with Kenji to help the villagers, but Kinji refuses, vowing to starve them just like they did to them before. The villagers are beginning to starve, and rumors of cannibalism spread. As one villager leaves the village, she passes by a cloaked figure who whispers, "Don't get eaten." Masamune, watching her leave, hears another villager rushing in with news that someone has been murdered, likely by Jin, who had disguised herself to evade capture. The other hiker managed to escape, but the villagers are curious as to what kept Jin fed all of this time. The final panel of the volume is the mutilated body of a villager, with Jin and her baby feasting on the remains. The rumors of Jin's survival have reached the Gotos, stirring an unsettling excitement in Kinji. As more bodies started appearing, the villagers began suspecting that Jin had help from one of the men who tied her to the tree. Two of those men argue bitterly until Jin herself appears, swiftly dispatching them. Meanwhile, Kinji goes to visit Jin's mother's grave, only to be confronted by Yoshimune, who warns him to stop searching for her. Kinji acts ignorant, but Yoshimune can see that he's still ensnared by his obsession with Jin. Kinji lashes out only to turn and find Jin standing right behind him. She pleads with him for protection, but Yoshimune tries to snap him out of it. Ignoring him, Kinji follows Jin. Elsewhere, Masamune and some villagers stumble across more bodies in the woods, and it's become clear that Jin is hiding somewhere among them. Kinji takes Jin into hiding, locking her in a secret prison used to quarantine Goto members with diseases. Jin will remain caged forever, a prisoner and plaything for Kinji alone. Meanwhile, as the village falls deeper into starvation, the people grow desperate. They decide to raid the one place where food is stored and where they suspect that Jin may be hiding, the Goto home. Anticipating this, Jin sees it as her chance to reignite the war between the Gotos and the villagers. Masamune, searching for Jin at their hideout, is approached by a mysterious figure who delivers a message from her: "Take the village." The next morning, villagers gather outside Masamune's house, ready to attack the Gotos. Yoshimune tries to calm them down, but Masamune interrupts, accusing him of never truly caring for the village. Declaring that Yoshimune's time is over, Masamune rallies the villagers and leads them straight to the Goto home. Just as they approach, a gunshot rings out, killing one of the villagers. Kinji, alerted to the raid, has ordered the Gotos to shoot on sight. The villagers and Gotos engage in a brutal battle, with Masamune encouraging his side forward as the villagers start charging the gunmen. During the chaos, Kurenai attempts to flee but is caught by a villager. A Goto gunman, desperate, returns to Kinji to suggest finding a peaceful solution, but it's too late. The villagers hold Kurenai hostage, demanding food in exchange for her release. Reluctantly, the Gotos agree, delivering barrels of food to the starving villagers. But just as they begin celebrating, another gunshot echoes, and a villager falls to the ground. In their fury, the villagers turn on Kurenai, beating her to death. In the woods, a sniper revealed to be the mysterious man observes the battle and prepares to intervene. As Kinji joins the fray, he fights off several villagers but is eventually surrounded. Suddenly, a new group enters the fight on the Goto's side. Among them, one of the fighters assaults a Goto woman, declaring the need to grow the family. Masamune, watching from a distance, sees the new allies in action as they ask Kinji about Jin's whereabouts. Kinji refuses to tell them, determined to find and kill her himself. Three of the new allies kill Sada, forcing Kinji to retreat. Desperate, he rushes to Jin's prison and points a gun at her, demanding to know if the child she's carrying is his. When she refuses to answer, he swings at her but collapses, mumbling that he loves her and that the Goto dynasty is doomed. Jin responds coldly, declaring that this is her house now. She reveals that she survived on the mountain thanks to cannibalism, and now he looks just like another meal. The new family enters to find Jin and her child, Shirogane, feasting on Kinji's remains. After the battle, one of the last Goto members, Danjo, arrives at the house, asking for the family. Jin greets him with a chill response. "What do you mean?" "The Goto family is right here," before slitting his throat. she steps outside to find Masamune, asserting that both the Goto family and Kujei village now belong to them. 3 years later, the Gotos have severed ties with the villagers. They continue to provide food, but demand that the villagers revive the tradition of sacrificing one person each year during the festival, now dedicating it to a new god, Shirogane. Jin, in a conversation years before, had told Masamune that she would keep Shirogane hidden, fed only on flesh and never allowed to see sunlight. She insists that the ritual must continue without exception. Each year, Shirogane devours a child during the festival and is locked away in his cage by Jin. Masamune struggles to understand why Shirogane doesn't want to leave his prison, and what does he actually see with those eyes of his. He tells Jin that despite the disease killing Shirogane, he knows of a legend of someone who overcame it and became the village's god. Over the years, Jin, growing frail, had trained Kisuke to fend off the descendants of Kinji. That same year, Jin is ambushed by villagers. Just as they close in, they catch a foul smell and flee, thinking a bear is nearby. But it's not a bear. It's Shirogane, who begins to devour Jin. As he bites down on her arm, he cries out, "Mother." Everything Jin had done, creating the new village, battling the Gotos, giving birth to Shirogane, all of it was for love. The scene cuts to Monechika and Kisuke looking over her lifeless body, while Iwayo watches from a distance. In his dying moments, Masamune regrets everything, realizing their actions were a terrible mistake. He pleads for someone to save Shirogane, to free the child. We return to Daigo and Kisuke in the cave with Mashiro and Shirogane. Daigo orders Mashiro to move, but Shirogane rises and, with Mashiro shouting in protest, the volume closes as Daigo calls out to Kisuke for help, but he hesitates, only for Shirogane to take him down. I really like these 3 volumes, but they're definitely not my favorite. It feels like I'm reading a completely different story at this point. The characters haven't really changed much, the dynamic hasn't changed much either, and while it was interesting to see the full backstory of the Gotos, I didn't think it was really necessary. It could have been kept a secret for more of the mystery horror aspect of it, or it could have just been kept simple, and it honestly wouldn't make much of a difference except for the reveal of the old man. It is great to see how Shirogane came to light and the history with Jin and Masamune, but everything else wasn't really that interesting. Stuff about the village starving, different gods, different bloodlines. It is very confusing at first to keep up with the whole family tree and the multiple twists and turns that the series does, but it does feel nice to know that we're at the end game. We're so close to the ending of this series, and I'm very excited to see just how this all ends. There are still stuff that is being built up and hasn't even been revealed or shown yet in these past 3 volumes, so hopefully in the last 2 there actually is some conclusion to those build up. The next part will be the finale, and I do have something special planned for it, but only if we hit the 2K like goal, so get to liking, guys. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to join the Discord server. The link will be in the description below. And if you guys want more horror manga videos like this one, then why not scroll down and hit that subscribe button. But I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.